Exclamation, everybody, and welcome back to Cube Ramblings. For me, it is Sunday morning, March the 8th, 2015. It's actually 20 after 1 in the morning right now for me. So this should go all up. This should go up at the appropriate time in the morning. But I just I took some extra time to kind of look around. There wasn't a whole lot of news because some things have happened, and things are happening in the world of gaming. Right around this time, we had GDC, which just finished up a few days ago. So we're trying to. There's a lot of articles and stuff coming up from that, and then of course right now, as I speak, the 2015 PAX East is going on, and actually I believe it wraps up today, if I'm not mistaken, Sunday. I think it goes from Thursday to Sunday, and I think Thursday is just like a no press day or something like that. Whatever it is, I forget I forget how they do it, or only press day. I'm not entirely sure how that works, but yeah, so that's going on. So I expect to see. Hopefully, we'll see a lot of news coming out of that. I've been looking at a lot of the live blogging and stuff like that, and there's a few things that have been hinted at, but nothing is really concrete yet. Like I said in last week's episode, there's quite a few companies going out there to show off their stuff for the first time. Adult Swim was going all in with a lot of their properties, as far as getting them out there and getting them visible and getting demos into people on the convention floor, getting demos into their hands and letting them do their thing. So hopefully we'll also see a wave of demos coming out of that as well. It'd be particularly good. It's kind of a weird thing, right? It's like sometimes you hope that, yes, it's great that they're reserving their demos for when they're there and they can talk to people in real life. But in years past, I haven't really seen too many companies go, oh, all right, or too many developers go, all right, now that PAX East is over, let's release the demo to everybody. A few do, but a lot don't, and it's kind of a weird one. Like I understand that it's not for mass consumption, and they probably really want people there looking over your shoulder to make sure you're getting the most out of it. But sometimes I feel like if PAX East is your best foot forward, then why not why not also release that to everybody and just give the same caveats there that you gave to everybody who watched it at the event? But I digress. That's more for people like me who who really want to have the experience of PAX, but not actually go and not have to actually attend or do any of those weird things like social interaction. No, thank you. So that was a purely selfish motivation on my part there for that. But yeah, it's been a nice quick week, very good week as well. I'm just realizing too that in less than an hour, my clocks are all going to jump ahead an hour, so I'm gonna lose a little bit of sleep today, but that's fine. That's fine and well. I was actually up until like 5 a.m. Friday night. It was just 5 a.m. this morning, I guess, because it's Saturday. Well, no, it'd be yesterday now. Everything's just rolling into one right now. Time. Who has time to figure out time? Even Doctor Who can't figure out time sometimes. So I've been burning the midnight oil trying to get a lot of things recorded. Like I said, I've been with all the transitions and stuff going on I've been doing, it's been rough trying to keep up. I don't have a backlog at all of videos like I normally do, ready to go. But we're getting there. I'm starting to flesh out the old coffers again. It'll help that this will be the off week for Minecraft stuff, because I did, a lot of them. I did my, Minecraft single player plus, the LCM network server stuff last week. That takes up a very good amount of time. A lot, quite a bit, quite some time to do that and to get that ready to go. So I'm on the sort of off week now where I can spend some more time doing other things as well as moving forward on those projects without having to worry about putting a video out necessarily. Although I don't have another sandbox game yet that I really want to do. I've been peeking at Medieval Engineers here and there. There was a new patch for Signs of Life that came out with some new stuff in it, but I haven't really looked into it yet, and I kind of want to give them a little bit more time to do some more stuff, put some more stuff in there, because I'm assuming at some point I'm probably going to have to start the game over from scratch again and get all the new world gen and all that stuff if they do it eventually. So I'm just kind of taking my time on that. Let that rest for a little bit. And like I said, I'm looking at Medieval Engineers. I believe they've got a few more elements of survival in there, but not, nothing to write home about yet. And my initial assessment of Medieval Engineers sort of still stands, where it's like, it doesn't feel like the same thing with Space Engineers. It doesn't feel like it was really meant to be a single player thing. It really feels like it was more for multiplayer. Like you can have more fun in multiplayer, which is odd. Well, I mean, actually, no. I would say that's probably typical. I think what I meant to say is the oddball out in that is sort of Minecraft, right? Because you think about it, Minecraft is a sandbox game, and yes, it is more fun in multiplayer, but, well, yeah, it can be more fun in multiplayer, but more often than not, you are probably playing by yourself, or you're off in your own area doing something on your own. You're not necessarily collaborating on builds per se. The sum total of everyone's builds ends up being something, but you're working on just one little piece of it usually. And you look at something like Medieval Engineers and Space Engineers, they seem like they're built on that same principle, but then they've got elements in them that are like, well, in Medieval Engineers you can have catapults, right, that actually function, and in Space Engineers you've got guns and whatnot that actually function, and you can make guidance control systems for torpedoes and stuff like that, which I've seen some people have done on the on Reddit and stuff like that, which I haven't even scratched the surface of either of those games, so I really don't know how anything works in them yet, but I know at least that much. And when you have stuff like that, when you have tools like that, it sort of kind of writes itself more as, hey, this is going to be much more fun multiplayer than single player ever would be. Much more rich, I guess, the experience would be. Because, hey, somebody might come by with a catapult and knock your walls down. Not that you couldn't have that in Minecraft with all the griefing with lava and stuff like that, but or people dragging creepers behind them and running, ducking into your house. But still, those are side effects of the game. Those aren't like necessarily actual mechanics, right? Kind of. I mean, yeah, creeper exploding is still a mechanic, but it's not. The intention was not for you to use that as a weapon against other players, really. And I would argue the same thing with TNT, right? You weren't really the TNT cannons and stuff like that are bugs in the physics of the game, not something that was really intended to be used. But I look at like space engineers and medieval engineers, and they have systems that were actually completely intended to be used. So I don't know exactly what kind of single player experience I could possibly get out of all that stuff. But I might dig into it and try my hand a little bit. I was having a lot of problems with the actual interface itself, trying to get used to it and maneuvering and all that stuff. But I suspect that's just more of a learning curve on my part, and me just getting my brain out of the normal stuff and into the slightly different UI that those games present for their building and stuff like that. Plus, I'm also kind of waiting to see if they introduce some fluid mechanics in there, like water and stuff. I don't think the game as it is right now has any water or lava or anything in it. I assume that they will do that at some point, because otherwise, I may or may not have started building a castle with the hopes that I can fill the moat with actual water. I may be putting too much faith in future features that may or may not materialize. But there you go. I've thrown it out there. So there's that, and then there's a couple other, like I've noticed. I noticed Savage Lands is sort of making the rounds right now on YouTube, which is a survival open world sandbox thing with, I guess it has some light RPG in it, but I haven't looked too much into it other than to watch a few videos here and there. Probably not up my alley. That's more of the, to me it looks more like the sort of H1Z1 DayZ, even though it's not survival horror necessarily. It strikes me more as those types of games. And what was the other one? Rust. Yeah, it just feels more like it's for people who enjoyed those games, that they would probably enjoy that one. So it's not really high on my list of things of, hey, I should probably go take a look at that. And not really, not really at all. I think I remember, because the name had the Savage Lands, I think it is. The name had rung a bell in my head, and I went looking around. I think I had run across the Kickstarter at some point. But I looked into it a little bit further and didn't have a whole lot of faith in what I was seeing there, as far as how they were answering some of the questions they put down at the bottom, like how's the funds going to be used and how are you doing this and stuff like that. And I don't know, I just felt like a combination of that, and also it didn't seem like it was bringing anything new to the genre. I probably will eat those words though, because I did notice that it's got some sort of dragons and stuff, like it's almost got a Skyrim-esque feel to it, from what I've seen in videos. So that might be the thing that might be the killer feature that attracts the most people, if it ends up being a successful thing. In the meantime, I've been looking at real-time strategy games. I'm getting, it's weird. I like most people, go through phases, right? I mean, you're never too old to go through a phase, right? And for some reason or another, I'm just in this RTS kick right now. I have not been in an RTS kick for a very long time, ever since back in the day when I was playing Homeworld, and it sort of inspired me to go play the original StarCraft, which I never finished because I just got tired of it. But along that same time, there was Empire Earth. We played a little bit of that. Age of Empires. What was the other one? There's another one that was sort of it was like an Empire Earth thing where you start out with a barbarian tribe, and then you had to grow and expand, and then you would gain technology, and then go through the Middle Ages and all that stuff. So I played a lot of those games. They never really struck too much of a chord with me. And then I eventually just gave up on them, and I went over to RPGs and was all into RPGs and all that stuff. And when I started the channel out, I was still pretty much in that phase where it's like, oh, I like a lot of RPGs and not so much anything else. And of course, and the sandbox, open world sandbox stuff. And then as I've been recording stuff and as I've been playing more stuff, I realize I've sort of reawakened some things in me. So like real-time strategy, I've been looking at a lot of games in that realm. First-person shooters, like I'm looking at. I think if I'm not mistaken, I couldn't find the news article, so this is why I'm not going to link to it because I couldn't find it. But if I'm not mistaken, I read some article somewhere that Wolfenstein: The New Order is going to get some sort of prequel or something. That's like it'll be a standalone DLC. I'm not quite sure. It's not going to be like a full price game from what I understood, but it was going to be like a 4-hour prequel or something like that to Wolfenstein: The New Order, where BJ goes through and tries to uncover the location of Death's Head's compound, which is what at the beginning of Wolfenstein: The New Order, that's where you actually start out. You start out coming ashore there when your plane gets shot down. But from what I understand, they're going to do something like that. Machine Games are going to do something like that. I think it's Machine Game, right? Yeah. I think they're going to do something like a little prequel that's just like sort of a small expansion pack kind of thing. But I can't find the article where I saw that. So I could be just in some kind of, insomniac state right now where I've only had like 4 hours of sleep over the last 2 days. So these might be the bloodworm dreams of a madman. So you'll have to go Google that and find out if you can find it somewhere. So I've started looking at a lot of the first person shooters now. There's a lot of FPSs coming out that are old school, quote unquote, kickbacks to old school days. So in fact, I think I even kickstarted one, which I don't know if it succeeded. I think it succeeded, but I'm not entirely sure. So there's a couple of those coming out. The RPGs are sort of in a little bit of a lull right now. I guess that they had their big renaissance as well. The space and sci-fi games are becoming a plentiful, and a couple MOBAs, which I'm going to talk a little bit about MOBAs and my problems with some of them, or namely my problem with the live stream that I did on Friday night. But I'll talk about that in a little bit more detail because there's actually an article that kind of matches up with some of my experience, if you will. Just having jumped into Heroes of the Storm for the very first time on a live stream. But I just feel like my tastes are kind of expanding, but at the same time I'm getting like this onslaught of real-time strategy games, and they're all really good looking. Well, they're all really good games, they look like. And so I'm like, I could really record this. So if there's a sudden onslaught of a bunch of RTS games, and that's not your bag, I'm sorry. I'm going to try my best to temper my own ambitions and make sure that I still maintain a variety on the channel. I think I've been doing pretty good with that. I just don't want to lose any of that. I feel like that's the thing that's going to keep me going. Because if I start doing let's rattle off the list of things that I've been looking at here. So I've got Soul Zero. I'm still going to jump into it from time to time. In fact, there was a tweet that came out from the dev a couple weeks ago where there's a map now for Ceres. I don't know how you pronounce that moon that they're very interested in right now. Sort of like a dwarf planet around Mars or somewhere in that area. I think the Mars Pathfinder ? Is the one that's taking a look at it right now because it's doing a close flyby of it. I'm not up with my space news, so I may have that completely wrong, but I want to jump into that map at some point. Doing the spatials, and still a whole lot of content in the spatials for an alpha. Lots of stuff to do. Still have a ton of things to do in there. So the spatials will keep on going. I've been looking at Off-World Trading Company, and the only thing that stopped me from doing a video yet is I don't feel confident yet that I completely understand the game. The game is fairly intuitive. Well, the UI could use some work, but the game mechanics itself are fairly intuitive. It's like, just manage your numbers, right? You're basically managing a spreadsheet at the end of the day. So that seems to be okay. The only thing is there's a lot of tutorials already, and I've only gotten through about half of them. And the ones I haven't gotten through are for other game types. And since it's a multiplayer game right now, for the most, actually pretty much entirely multiplayer. You can play against bots though, for practice. But since it is a multiplayer focused game, I sort of wanted to make sure I got through a lot of the tutorials, or if not all of them, just to find out all the different game modes, because I don't get thrown into a game mode and not understand what's going on. And it's only I think it's only 2 versus, well, no, it might be more than that. It might be more than 1v1. Not quite sure. So I'm sort of looking at that on the side to try to do some videos on that. I don't know how successful I'll be at making videos on that because, again, it is sort of multiplayer focused, and if there's not a multiplayer community there, then it's not going to go it's not going to go too well yet because it's still very, very early. It's in early access there, but I have seen a bunch of videos from other YouTubers out there who are playing it, so hopefully that's a good sign. Then we've got, what's the other? So that was Off-World Trading Company, the Spatials. We've got Soul Zero. I've been looking at and constantly keeping an eye on, and apologies if I keep putting my hand in front of my face here, but I'm like, my nose is the itchiest thing in the world at the moment right now. The other thing I'm looking at is Star Command Galaxies. They just released an Alpha 3.1, and I was just kind of, playing around in that. That is way too early right now for any kind of video on it, because I sat down and played it for about 10 minutes, and I couldn't quite understand what I was doing or how to do anything, other than I was being attacked repeatedly, and my ship was pretty much destroyed, and I was boarded, and all my people were killed, and things did not go well. Things did not go well, to say the least. So, and that's they're only doing, in this particular version, this particular build was just the space build. They also had an earlier build that was the plant side build, that kind of thing. So I need to wait a little bit more. It needs to bake a little bit more before I can do some kind of video justice on that. And they are also the ones that have the mobile game Star Command that I've wanted to record so badly for so long. But the thing that keeps me from doing it is that it is a very, very long, drawn out game. Like it is the mobile game that you would expect a mobile game to be, right? It's like, I got a whole lot of time to kill, so I'm just gonna sit here and stare blankly while my guns recharge, right? And it could take your guns quite a few minutes to recharge between each volley, and it takes several volleys to take out an enemy usually. So it's one of those things where it's, doesn't really make for good YouTube watching, in my opinion. That's the only reason why I haven't actually sat down and made a recording of it. Now, that said, I could probably do it as some sort of background video, which I might do at some point, just to get it out there, or even just do it as a live stream, assuming that I have a means of passing the time, people to talk to in order to pass the time. That would be good. So those are a couple of the real-time strategy games on my list. There's another one that I just saw on Twitter, and I can't remember the name of it. It was another one that was a Mars, was it Mars colonization or something like that? I feel like it was a Mars colony game that was slightly different than the other ones that I've played. And then also there's what was that other one? There's 2D. Oh goodness, I forget the name of it now. It was on the tip of my tongue. It was a Kickstarter game that I funded. I actually literally just downloaded it a few hours ago and installed it. Well, I tried to install it, but for some reason, every so often my keyboard controller gets stuck and certain text fields just freak out on the computer, and I can't install things and stuff without a reboot. So I'll have to reboot that. After I reboot the computer here, I'll have to install that and see what I can make of that. But that was also a real-time strategy game. So lots of those going on. I've been just trying to see which one would be the next one to slot into the schedule. Also, I've been contemplating schedule changes, but I haven't determined anything yet. I was thinking of doing the traditional YouTuber thing, which is do a video every other day, have series that go every other day, rather than doing the kind of crazy schedule that I have now, which is kind of every other day, but kind of not. But then I was thinking about games like Soul Zero and games like the Spatials and various other things, and I realized I play a lot of games that are still very early on in the process. Signs of Life is another one. All these early access games, and I feel like if I did the traditional YouTuber thing and I said, "Oh, this will just be an every other day, series," I would end up running out of content very quickly because there wouldn't be anything else to do in those games. Because a lot of those games are just so early that they don't have a whole lot of content in them yet. And I feel like doing them just once a week gives everybody a chance to sort of, get in there and absorb everything, and it gives the devs a chance to, go through and make some more stuff and, things of that nature. That's kind of why I approach them the way I do. If I feel like I might run out of content, I will slow down, because I feel like that's a better way of doing it. Because at least I'm consistent, and there's always something new coming through there. But that said, I ramble. I'm rambling now. So those are kinds of things I've been looking at. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, I did my normal Friday live stream. I didn't do Minecraft this time. I did. I wanted to do just random games that I could find. I sat actually in front of the Steam client for quite a few, about a half an hour or so, just looking at my library like, well, what am I really in the mood to play tonight on a live stream? And I thought, well, you know what, this might be a good opportunity for me to learn Heroes of the Storm, since I'm in the beta and everything else. And I haven't really had a chance to do anything except maybe play like 2 bot matches and run the tutorials, and that was it. And I did all those with Jim Raynor. What had ended up happening? So I go into my first match. First of all, I had to figure out the whole matchmaking thing, right? Like, the only other MOBA I've played is Awesomenauts, and in that game, you go in, you hit quick match, and 2 minutes later, you've got a team, and you're facing off against another team, and you just pick a guy and you go, right? Easy peasy. For Heroes of the Storm, it's like, well, no, you got a party. You got to have a party of people, and then you have to do like what match type you want, or you want a quick match, and then everybody's matched up with somebody, and then also while you're doing that, you got to pick a character. And oh, by the way, you can't play whoever you want to play. You got to play whoever we tell you can play. And it was driving me insane. Just the trying to figure out, am I looking for a group? Am I not looking for a group? Am I in a group? Am I not in a group? Who's here? Who's doing what? What character can I actually play? I ended up at times just hitting random and just saying, look, just give me somebody that I can play. Because I kept clicking around on the board at the people that were highlighted, and they're all like, no, this you can't use this one. You can't ready up with this guy. I'm like, well, who can I ready up with? Give me somebody here. So not the greatest of interfaces. Of course, it is a beta, so beta is, it's to be expected, I suppose. But I eventually got into a match, and I was in a character I had never played before, because, like I said, I only played Jim Raynor, and apparently, he's listed as easy. There's another character on there that was listed as easy, and apparently I couldn't play either easy one. It just wouldn't let me do it. It's like, nope, can't do this. So I ended up with like a medium to hard character, and I just couldn't figure out what to do. It was a goblin, and it had turrets that you could put down, and then some kind of weird death laser that did absolutely no damage at all whenever you would use it, and you had to double click for it for some reason. It was just bad. I was just having an all around just bad experience for my very first experience in the game, in multiplayer. And it didn't help that, the toxicity of some of the other players on our team just chiming in like, oh, you guys need to just practice more. You can't be out in public doing this stuff. I'm like, that's not the point. The point is to have fun and play the game. That's supposed to be the point. The point is I'm having fun. And to be fair, the ones that were complaining were off doing God knows what. Like, they just literally, like, it's my understanding. It's my understanding in a MOBA that you're supposed to play the lanes, and you're supposed to push lanes back, and then eventually you push them back far enough that you can capture and destroy enemy stuff, right? Now, I know there's that whole jungling thing where there's like these extra extra attention deficit hyperactivity disorder things that you have to do. That's the best way ADHD is the best way I can describe these things, because it's like, you've got a basic game of pushing lanes, and then you've got this other thing where it's like, go around collecting these random points, or go fight these guys so that they then turn around and fight for you. And it's go through these mines and find some gold. I'm like, what am I doing? What the hell is this shit? Right? And apparently, you know, these guys just went off and did their thing, right? There's like five on a team, I think. And there was like 3 of us who were clearly, this was like our first time, right? And we're just playing the game that we think we're supposed to play, right? Which we're in lanes and we're pushing lanes and all this stuff. And there's other 2 guys that were the most vocal, you know, opponents of, you know, of us being players of the game. They went off and just did whatever the hell. I don't know what they were doing. They were off doing like some of these random side quest things, and and then they're complaining that it's like, oh, I've never been in a game where I was like 3 levels below the enemy team. I'm like, well, I haven't even looked at any of the numbers at the top of the screen. What are you looking at? It just amazes me that people are like that competitive, right? On a stupid cartoony game. It's, of all the games to be competitive at, like, you pick the one that's got the freaking cartoon characters in it, right? It's like, what are you trying to prove to people here? It's just a game, for crying out loud. I mean, literally, I didn't look at the top portion of the screen at all. Like, I couldn't care less. I was just having some fun pushing some mobs back and you know, trying to take on some towers and not get killed in the process. But yeah, they were very unwelcoming. And this leads me into an article that I'll leave a link to. I think believe it's on Kotaku ? It's on one of those. Again, I'll, you know, do the whole timestamp and everything else in the description so you can see it. But it basically talks about how Blizzard is trying to handle Heroes of the Storm and the toxic player base that they've spawned, that it has spawned. And, you know, they go into like, oh, we're shutting down the chat for some things. We're going to have a mute all button. So you basically can just go in and just mute all the chat all along, which sounds like a fantastic idea. It also sounds like a game breaking idea, but it is a thing, I guess. And, yeah, I have to say, like, for my first experience in the game, I don't really actually want to go back to the game at all. Like, that first experience sort of soured me to the whole thing, which is bad, right? It's not, I mean, here's the thing that really bothers me about it, right? You get these people on there who are really like, oh, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. I can't believe that you don't know how to play this game. Like, literally saying, I can't believe you don't know how to play this game. And in the same breath, on every screen, on every visual of the game, there is a message that says this game is in beta, right? It's like, well, what does beta mean to you guys, right? Seriously, like, of course I don't know how the game works. It's in beta. It hasn't even been released yet. This is like this is the first time I've been in the game in a multiplayer session. So yes, I don't know how it works. But it just boggles my mind sometimes that people are that competitive. Like, literally, like I said, I didn't look at the top of the screen at all. Like, I couldn't care less what level we were at. I just wanted to, you know, enjoy playing the game, enjoy pushing the lanes and all that stuff. But whatever. That said, I, you know, enjoy the hell out of Awesomenauts, and to the best of my knowledge, it doesn't have a very toxic community at all. And I don't know what they did to spawn that, to make that happen, but whatever they did, they did it well, because I can still go back. That's as of today, that is still the only MOBA that I feel comfortable actually being in. And I guess because it is very easy to jump into it, there's not a whole lot of stuff you have to figure out. I don't like, and they do the same thing, you know, in Heroes of the Storm too, and I assume they do it in all the MOBAs. Is I don't like the fact that you can't just choose whoever you want and just play that person. I like I said, if I had been playing Jim Raynor, which was the guy that I had been training on, right, I probably could have done a pretty decent job, right? But since I couldn't, it wouldn't let me select him. I had to take these random other things that nobody wanted, and you have to learn how to play them, and you can't learn how to play them if you're the only one on the map playing them. I feel like if there's one mechanic that I would change from MOBAs, it's that just let me pick whoever the hell I want. And Awesome Knots does this too. It's like after you've picked the same character a few times, it's like, nope, you can't play him again for the next match. You got to pick somebody else. And I hate that. I just absolutely hate. That is not a gameplay thing, right? That is a marketing thing. That's a, hey, we want to force you to use these other characters so that maybe you'll see something that you like and you'll pay us some more money. It's like, no, probably not. No, actually, I kind of just want to play whoever I want to play. Or they'll say it's for balancing issues. Oh, you can't have, an entire match where everybody's playing the same character. I'm like, actually, no, you probably could. If you just balance it correctly, right? I mean, you can probably do it. It'd probably be a really cool match, actually, to be able to do that. But that's just me. That's just me being an old man and going, I don't know how to get into something when nobody wants you around, right? It's like the very first experience you have when you go into a game is everybody says, get out, we hate you. And it's like, well, I guess I'll leave. I guess I will exit stage right. So that's my random ramblings on that little piece there. So I ended up, I cut it short and I just said, you know what, I'm just going to, that and waiting for a match and trying to actually get into a match and get into a team and everything. It was just a pain in the ass. It's like I said, I could jump into Awesome Knots, hit quick match, and be in that match in like 2 to 3 minutes, tops, right? Here's the Storm is you gotta go through too many hoops. It's just terrible UI. But I digress. So many of those all those things. I ended up just switching it over to Invisible Ink, and I had 500 times more fun in the 2 hours playing Invisible Ink than I did in the 1 hour I suffered through Heroes of the Storm. I'm trying to expose myself to all these games that I don't necessarily particularly like. I mean, I'm not a big MOBA guy. I find it's a genre that I feel like will always have a terrible community around it because there are so many ultra competitive people out there who think that they're hot shit, that tie their entire enjoyment up into winning. And when every little mistake that you make can affect the entire team, it breeds that culture, right? I don't think you can take that out of there unless you finally come up with something that, a MOBA that doesn't punish everybody for the failings of one or more, which is probably doable, but I don't know if you'd still call it a MOBA or not. At that point, who knows what it'd be called at that point. But given all that, what else? We've got I got a few other things on the list here. So I've been playing a game called and the name I always have to look it up. There Came an Echo, because it's kind of a weird name for the game. It's like I don't I get that you want to be sort of dramatic, but that's very hard to remember the name of that game when it is that. But it's a sci-fi voice-activated tactical game, real-time tactics, basically, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. Like the storyline is a bit memeish. There's a few like contrivances in there that are kind of typical for sci-fi. You can sort of figure out some things that are going to happen already. Like I can tell, like the mysterious, Val woman is probably the enemy. Probably will become the enemy somewhere along the way. Just because that seems to be the path that they're taking. They're taking sort of the easy, sort of well laid out sci-fi path in a lot of cases, which is fine. That doesn't bother me much. It's still a fairly well crafted story to this point, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the voice commands, even though it makes for probably a terrible Let's Play. It's so much fun to just sit there and just give commands out and have them be understood and have them work and moving around the board. You're basically moving puzzle pieces around a board. It's kind of like a puzzle game more than I suspect anything else, but it's because there's only certain positions you have to be in, and everything's kind of scripted, so I can see that being more of something that's appealing to people who like puzzles, sort of. Although it's not very, it's not like a hardcore puzzle thing. Which is why I called it real-time tactics, because that's pretty much what it is. It's tactical stuff. But I'm really enjoying it, and I'm actually I'm enjoying it to the point where I've decided that I'm just going to do it. I'm going to release it every other day, not on any particular schedule, just every other day. It's just going to go up. So the first one went up on Friday. No, first one went up on Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. And the next one went up to, yesterday, Saturday. Saturday. And then the next one will be Monday, tomorrow. So, and I still have to record that one. I only had the one, I've only been recording one episode at a time, just because of the time constraints on me for things. But it's really cool. I really like it so far. I'm hoping that it keeps my attention up, and that it's not from what I understand, it's not a very long game. It's only about 4 to 5 hours, which is perfect, I think. Which is also the reason why I'm like, I'm just going to do this every other day and just be done with it, because it'll be, I'll be able to get through the game really quickly. I'll be able to enjoy it, and hopefully everybody else will get to enjoy it, and then we'll be good. It's not that I'm feeling like I didn't mean when I said I want to get through it. It wasn't more of I just want to get through this thing. It was more of I want to see the ending. So I'm like I'm jonesing for it. I'm like I got all these other things I got to record, but no, I really want to record their Kenny Minako right now. much like the Telltale games, where it's like each episode's like 2 hours long. I'm like, I'm just going to sit down and record the entire episode and then just break it up into parts. I feel the same way with There Came an Echo. I'm like, if it's only going to be 5 hours and I'm really enjoying it right now, I kind of just want to do it as quickly as possible so that I can just get to the end and really experience the game, because I'm enjoying it so much. So that's why it's kind of breaking the mold of my normal scheduled stuff, because I just want to get it out there. I'm like I said, it's invading my dreams. I want to know I want to be the guy. I want to be somebody other than Sam, but I want to be the guy. So I just want to, I want to play the game. That's the way it is. Very excited for it. So that's why you're seeing that on the channel. Yeah, not much else I could say about that. I just wanted to say that because I feel like it's a cool thing. I have a link. I will leave a link to a review on Eurogamer for There Came an Echo, so you can see what a proper game journalist would say about the game. Hopefully, I don't know if the person that wrote it is a proper game journalist. I'm just saying that they're more so than I am, far more so than I am. Also, and this is I want to make sure I get this out because this is sort of time sensitive. The original Syndicate game, which back from the 90s, I think. I believe it was in the 90s. Is available on Origin on the house, so it's free. You want to snarf that up as quickly as you can if you're a fan of if you're a fan of Syndicate or a fan of some of its like spiritual successors. I believe the only spiritual successor to it that I can come up with right now is Satellite Rain, and that's still in early access. And that was I've played a little bit of it, but I haven't quite figured the game out yet, so I haven't done a video on it because of that. But it's still very, 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 very early for that. But I decided I downloaded it anyway just because it's free. I might want to play it at some point and just see what it's like. I've seen videos of it and it looks pretty cool. I mean, it's just like isometric. You know, it's like an RPG. You know, it's like a Divinity Original Sin almost, except it's sci-fi and it's sort of cyberpunkish a little bit. So sorry about that. That is my assessment on that. I wanted to make sure I got out the information on that because I don't know how long it'll be up on Origin's site there. So you might want to grab that as quickly as you can. So this one I didn't get to last week, and I sort of want to get to it now because it bummed me out a bit. It bummed me out quite a bit, and I wanted to talk about it. Many moons ago, I mentioned that a developer by the name of Night Drive, who has done a bunch of remakes, I believe they did System Shock remake or something like that, and a few other things. I might be saying the absolute wrong things here, but they've done some remakes in the past. Let's put it that way. That were quite good, and they had applied for a trademark for No One Lives Forever, which is an old first-person shooter game that I enjoy. I still have the CD for, which I've been debating whether or not I should just go and record some footage of that because you cannot buy that, as far as I know, anywhere unless you're on eBay. And I'm pretty sure you can't buy Contract Jack either, which was the second one. Or I'm sorry, No One Lives Forever 2, and then also Contract Jack, which is the third one that was sort of an expansion to No One Lives Forever 2. I don't think you can buy any of those. So that would be getting back to the point. Getting back to the point. Night Drive had filed for that trademark, so everyone was sort of kind of keeping an eye on it, like, hey, are they going to do a remake of No One Lives Forever? Because that'd be fantastic. I'll be all over that. And it turns out that they were trying to do that. The problem is, and this is why this problem also plagues a lot of the Star Trek games as well, which is why you don't really see a lot of Star Trek games on GOG and stuff like that. The problem is that as far as No One Lives Forever goes, nobody really knows who actually owns it, who owns the rights to it. So they went around, they're pretty sure that EA, was it EA? They're pretty sure, I think, that EA owns it, or Warner Brothers. No, it was Warner Brothers, I think. I think they were fairly certain that Warner Brothers owns it, but no one can seem to be able to produce any actual documentation that is the case. So without that, they were finding it difficult to actually go and get the actual proper permission for it. So instead, they just went and filed, for the trademark to see if anybody would complain. And I believe they're, once they filed for that, they did get a complaint, I believe, from Warner Brothers, which owns, if I'm not mistaken, owns Fox Interactive, which is the company that actually created the first, were they the creators or the publishers? See, I don't remember. There was a developer, a development studio. Monolith. Monolith was the development studio, I believe, and Fox Interactive was the publisher at the time. Fox Interactive doesn't exist anymore. I think they're part of Warner Brothers. Is it Warner Brothers Media, or is it I can't remember if it was Warner Brothers or if it was Vivendi for some reason. For some reason I've got Vivendi on my brain. And I don't know if they were the ones that took it over or not. Yes, they did. So Night Drive are the people. I'm looking it up. Sorry, Night Drive are the people that did the remake of System Shock. They had the team had managed to get a hold of the source code for the first and second game. They had all kinds of updates they were going to do to it. They were going to make it completely compatible, with Windows 8, 64, and Linux, and Mac OS X, so on and so forth. But it is Warner. Okay, so it was Activision and Warner Brothers, who hold various pieces of it. So I'm trying to get the paragraph here. So first game was published by, here it is, Fox Interactive. But because of the nature of Fox Interactive, they didn't know if 20th Century Fox owned the rights to it, or Activision owned it, or if both owned partial rights to it, because Activision ended up somehow buying. Let me take a step back, because it's a sordid history here. Monolith is owned by No One Lives Forever was developed by Monolith, who is now owned by Warner Brothers, which is they're also the developers of Shadow of Mordor, so they're still around. Monolith is still around. They're just under the umbrella of Warner Brothers. No One Lives Forever was made using the LithTech engine, which is now owned by Warner Brothers, right? The first game, though, was published by Fox Interactive, and there's a question as to whether or not 20th Century Fox or Activision might have partial rights to the series, because I believe that, Fox Interactive was bought by Activision, I think, but they were originally funded by 20th Century Fox, the movie company. So that's why there's like a partial rights possible thing there. And then Activision went belly up and was merged with Vivendi in 2008. I shouldn't say belly up. They're still around. They merged with Vivendi Interactive in 2008. And Vivendi... Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Vivendi was the one that acquired Fox Interactive. So then Fox Interactive is now owned by Activision. So it's a long and far and deep a rabbit hole that goes through there. The main point of all this rambling, of all these names putting up, is that when they filed for their trademark, a protest was put up for it. Or, I'm sorry, not a protest, but a strongly worded lawyer letter was sent to them that said that a protest would be filed for it, and there would be, some action taken. So they decided, it's not worth the risk, since no one will own up to actually owning the rights to it. They're just going to pass on let the trademark lapse and just be done with it, which is really sad, because I would really, really like to see a remake of No One Lives Forever. I never got to play. I only played the demo of No One Lives Forever 2. I never got to play the full game. Again, I was a poor college college guy at the time. And now I may never get the opportunity to play No One Lives Forever 2 or Contract Jack for that matter, because they're all just, I don't think you can buy them anywhere. That said, No One Lives Forever 1, fantastic game. Love the hell out of it. I would love to go back and just play it again. I don't even know. I should be able to get it working. I have a virtual machine set up, so if I can't get it working on Windows 7 64-bit, I can probably get it working on Windows XP, on the Windows XP virtual machine that I have. So, one way or the other, I feel like I want to record some No One Lives Forever at some point in the future. So if you happen to see that pop up on my channel at some point, you know where it's coming from. I was really hoping for this whole thing to get remade, like they said, but oh well. I will leave you guys a link to the article, which is called "The Sad Story Behind a Dead PC Game That Can't Come Back," and that pretty much sums up the whole thing right there, and the long and sordid past of that game. So what else do I got here? So I mentioned a little bit earlier the GDC Game Developer Conference took place. I'm going to very quickly run over, as part of the Game Developer Conference, there's a Game Developers Choice Awards, which are industry awards given by industry insiders to other industry insiders. Much like the Academy Awards, question mark, or is it the Oscars? Yeah, whatever. One or the other. One of those. So the list of winners has come out, and I'll just read the list off of that from the winners of the GDC awards. So Game of the Year went to Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor by Monolith and Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment. I'm talking about those a little bit earlier. And I intend on pulling myself into Shadow of Mordor soonish. I just have to get around to it. Best debut went to Stoic Studio. Those are the guys that are behind the Banner Saga, which I am playing, and I have to record some more episodes of. I actually ran behind on it because of other things going on, so that will continue on my channel as well. The Innovation Award went to Monument Valley. Get used to hearing that because you're going to hear it a lot. They got quite a few awards. It's Monument Valley is a isometric puzzler. I believe it or not, I've only seen it in a video of House of Cards, a video of the Netflix series called House of Cards, where one of the main characters on there was playing Monument Valley on his iPad. So I'm like 3 levels deep away from that now. Just talking about that. But that's what Monument Valley is. Best technology went to Destiny. Much deserved, I would say. Although I would put an asterisk next to it and say it would be nice if Destiny would work over a Wi-Fi connection, because otherwise I can't play the game, which has been the case up to this point. Is the game is unplayable for me due to it not being the netcode not being quite up to speed for my purposes. And best audio went to Alien Isolation. And given that I've watched some videos of people playing Alien Isolation, I would say, yeah, that's probably a very good thing that they got. A very good choice for best audio. Best visual art went to Monument Valley. Best narrative went to Kentucky Route Zero Act 3. I've heard a lot about Kentucky Route Zero. Well, I know it's like a point and click. I have never, I've heard that it is a really good story. I've never actually played it myself, and I'm not sure, like, I've always been on the fence about, like, is this something I want to play? Is this not something I want to play? Because you always hear mixed results about things. Like, yeah, the story is really good, but everything else is not quite up to speed. So I don't know. I'm glad to see it on here. I just don't know whether it's something that I would want to play. And it's only Act 3 that got it, so I don't know if any of the other acts got Best Narrative or not. Best Design goes to Hearthstone Heroes of Warcraft. I assume because of all the card designs and whatnot, and I guess, yeah, the interface on that looks pretty cool, so I can see that being a thing. Best handheld mobile game, Monument Valley. I think you probably saw that one coming. Audience award went to Elite Dangerous, a game that I have played a little bit of and still can't quite wrap my brain around yet. As far as trying to figure it out. I need more time with it in order to completely figure it out. The Pioneer Award went to David Braben, who is also the guy behind Elite Dangerous. The Ambassador Award went to Brenda Romero. The Lifetime Achievement Award went to Hironobu Sakaguchi. I hope I pronounced that name correctly. I believe he's the guy behind Final Fantasy, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. There's just a picture of him here, like in shades, just giving everybody a love you sign. So, or horns. That's basically the roundup of the Game Developers Choice Awards. I will leave you a link to the Kotaku article that actually just tells you everything that I just told you. And you can go take a look at that. But that will do it for this episode of Cube Ramblings. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. And I will see you next time.